All right, are we ready for another funny story, everybody? I'm struggling to make this because I can't stop laughing. I've been trying to share a funny story, usually involving me and the hubs, that has nothing to do really with the current situation of the world. So here we go. This has a little bit to do with law because I was in law school at the time, but it's all right. So I'm going to try really hard. I really don't want this story to reflect poorly on my husband, but all right. So my first year in law school, and I lived about 45 minutes away from my law school, so I had to commute because my husband was working on his doctorate, so his PhD in genetics, and the university he was at was in a different town than where my law school was. So and then it flipped. Once he finished his doctorate, then we moved closer to where my law practicing was going on. The very first year, and many one else will tell you, you just get really freaked out about finals because you've not really gone through a process like law school finals before. Typically in the US we don't do a whole bunch of lecture all semester and then boom, one exam. We don't typically do that in the US, but that's what we do for our law school exams. So I was studying very hard, and everybody knows I'm a visual learner, right? So I have all of my flashcards that I'm making, my outlines that I'm making, and I'm getting ready for finals. Now, we're just about, I don't know, we're about like a week out of finals, and my husband's like, dude, you need to get out of the house. You're going crazy. And I'm like, what do you mean? Because I'm finger painting all of the different elements of standing? What? What are you talking about? And he's like, yes, we don't have any more wall space in our little apartment, so if you don't mind. And I'm like, fine, whatever. He needed a lot of breaks too because science is hard. People, it's really hard. We had another little science friend who's going to get so mad at me for calling him that. Sorry, Joe. And they would go golfing. Now, this would have been spring semester in law school, so my second set of finals. And I was taking constitutional law because I was required to take it. My professor was atrocious, so I had to kind of teach myself. Not even kind of, yeah, I had to teach myself because my professor was awful, just awful, to a point where I would have to get up and leave class 10 minutes before it ended, or I would hulk out and go crazy. So I was like, yeah, I got to go to my job. And I would leave class. And so all the other students are like, why are you always leaving early? I'm like, because I don't want to hurt anybody in constitutional law. Anyway, I digress. Back to the story. So the hubs, also stressed, and his little science friend, also extremely stressed. They're like, we're going to go golfing. And, I don't golf. I just don't. I could golf if I want to, but I have too much inner rage. So I'm more of a baseball bat than a scalpel. Apparently, golfing, you're not supposed to hit the ball like it's baseball. I learned that the hard way a few times, and so I'm like, I don't really need to golf. But he's like, come out, get some fresh air. You've been studying for your finals so much, you're going crazy. We don't have any wall space left, you're going crazy. So I'm like, well, I have at the time, because I'm older, I had what they used to use as CDs. We, I had CDs of constitutional law uh, information. So you could buy supplements that would explain constitutional law for you, and I had them on CDs at the time. I know. I'm an old lady. But I had a Discman, and I was like, all right, let's do this. So I got my constitutional law lectures, got on my little going to the golf course outfit, whatever, just walking around. And I had my backpack. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go through my flashcards, listen to the lectures, walk through the golfing range with everyone, and get some fresh air. So that sounds great. So we get there, and his friends, so our friend meets us in the parking lot, and they're like, well, we don't really want to buy any frosty beverages, the adult kind, right? We don't want to spend money on that because we're college students. We don't have extra money. So I had my law school backpack on. They took out my constitutional law textbooks and all of my reading materials. I mean, I still had my flashcards and I had my mask, man. And they had Ziploc bags of ice. And they put the ice in my backpack and some frosty beverages. It's this backpack was so freaking heavy. So I was like, hey, you guys, I don't think this is really cool. I'm not sure we're supposed to do this. I'm like, it's fine. We do it all the time. Like, well, if you do it all the time, why don't you guys carry the backpack? Meanwhile, I'm listening to how the founding fathers wanted to have Article 1 drafted. In my constitutional law, I'm like, trying to figure out all of this stuff. Equal protection. Yikes, that's a huge thing. And I have this huge backpack. So I'm like, whatever, I don't care, because I'm almost hulking out all the time because of finals. So I'm just listening to my Discman. We're walking around and they're going from hole to hole. And every once in a while, they'd come over and unzip my backpack and pull out frosty beverage. And we'd keep walking. And by the end of it, I had a sore back. My back was really sore. But I was like, I'd gotten some fresh air. I've been listening to some constitutional law, and I was feeling really good about it. And so at the very end, we get back to the car, and there are no frosty beverages left in the backpack. And I just looked at them, and I'm like, so did you guys have a good time? And they're like, yeah, this is really great. And we want to go again next weekend. And can you come? And I'm like, no, I cannot. I am not here to carry frosty beverages around like a camel with a backpack. That was a one and done situation. Nobody got caught. We didn't get in any trouble. But on the other hand, I'm like, I'm not going to just be the person that carries the frosty beverages around the golf course. You need to get yourself sorted out and give me the respect I deserve. I'm a 1L and I'm learning constitutional law. And I demand respect. So they're like, okay. And then I'm like, everybody give me your keys. You can all come to my place for dinner. So, of course, I was a designated driver. Of course I was. So off we went. We went and had dinner. And people sobered up and went to their respective zones. And at the end of the day, I was back at my kitchen table putting together a giant poster trying to explain Article 1 and all of the different demands on Congress. Oh my gosh. So that's my funny story. My husband was very grateful for me to be able to carry frosty beverages around. And ever since then, every time he goes golfing, even if it's not with his little science friend, he's like, do you want to come? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to carry your beverages around, man. Like, I'm a licensed attorney, but more importantly, I've given you 2 children. I've given you 2 children, so I'm going to need you to just spring for the golf cart at this point and take care of your beverages yourself. Oh, my goodness. All right, so funny story number 2, everyone, and wishing you all the best. Remember, don't forget to laugh.